Johnny Soldier Boy Magdaleno was arrested as a result of the gang crackdown in 2013 called Operation Snake Eyes. He committed 2 robberies. He was sent to the Monterey County Jail after committing 2 robberies. He then went on to commit 2 attempted murders, also known as, quote, removals.
Johnny Magdaleno, aka Soldier Boy, was arrested on January 29, 2013. He was arrested with 2 other individuals for a crime spree that occurred in Salinas, California. While he was awaiting trial for that case, he committed other crimes to further his career amongst the gang. During this time when he got arrested, he was only a norteño soldado. Thereafter, he became a Nuestra Familia member, aka Soldier Boy. Today, we're gonna backtrack to a few years, tell you guys my point of view and my perspective as how I know the individual and what took place and what happened. Most of this information that I'm going to be sharing with you guys is court records and videos that I took from the internet that I'm putting together for you guys so you guys could have a better understanding of what I'm trying to put out there. I personally know Soldier Boy. I used to run around in the streets with them in 2011. So I'm going to take you back as far back as what I know of him. I met this individual in 2011. I'm going to give you guys some stories of what I've been through with him and other homies. We're gonna start it off with the basics. He just had gotten out of prison from doing 9 years. And when you're in the gang and you're still coming up and you never been to prison and you know of an individual, especially that's a norteño soldado that he just got out from doing 9 years, like that's the big homie. So off top, right, you wanna hang around with them, you wanna get to know them, you know, and you look up to individuals like that. Speaking in my perspective, that's how I took him as, right? The big homie. Hey, you know, that's the big homie just got out. It was me and another homie. He tended to like us, right? And we used to hang around, we used to go partying, kick it with hediondas, and we used to go kick it with a lot of individuals. And throughout time, you know, we'll get drunk, we'll go out, we'll be doing whatever we wanted to do, right? And when he came out, he came with objectives and with guidelines that he had to follow and certain directives that he was given before paroling. He had in contact with Chente, which later down the road, he ended up being Chente's right-hand man, which Chente is a Nuestra Familia member. He was a general commander for the whole Monterey County while he was out and while he was incarcerated. Getting back to Soldier Boy, we used to kick it like I mentioned before. We used to go out partying, and there was a few times where we got into little scuffles with some of our own homies that we were kicking it with. And I remember this time we were kicking it at Soldier Boy's aunt house, and so we were getting drunk, we were chilling. The homie Brad, he wasn't all there, right? So this individual, he was hot-headed and he was with the business. Just to simplify it, right? We used to kick it all together, right? And we had another homie named Ducky. He was a straight drunk. Like, he would just drink. That's all he liked doing, getting drunk, and he'll grow beer balls and he'll start to want to fight everybody. So Brad and Ducky, they would always get into it with one another, right? But mind you, Brad is a big white dude. And we used to say that he had retarded strength because he was really strong. And Ducky, he's a small individual, skinny, but he had a big mouth on him. Every time we used to kick it with one another, Ducky and Brad, they used to get into it with one another. At this particular time, Ducky and Brad, we did the mistake of leaving them by themselves in the kitchen. And mind you, we're doing coke, we're drinking, smoking weed, you know, doing the normal, that how we used to do it every single time. I just hear some little scuffling back and forth, right? Like chairs moving, and I just hear the homie screaming, Ducky, help me, help me. So when me, Soldier Boy, and the other homie run up, we see Brad has Ducky on a chokehold, squeezing him, telling him he's gonna kill him. He's like, yeah, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill you, and talking smack to him, right? And so we're like, hey, Brad, leave him alone. You're gonna choke him out. You're gonna kill him. Like, stop, he can't breathe. Ducky screaming, help me, I'm gonna die, I can't breathe. So he starts panicking, right? And it was just like a funny scenario, but during the time, it wasn't funny because we're like, damn, if we don't get him off him, this individual, he's gonna kill him. We didn't want that. As I mentioned, we were drinking, so Soldier Boy grabs a beer can and throws it at him. Boom, hits him in the face, right? And he just looks at us and gets even more mad and keeps choking more of the homies. So now he's walking around choking them. The homie Ducky's over there screaming his life out. I can't breathe. You know, like try to move around. And we start getting off on him, right? All three of us, like, it was me, Soldier Boy, and another homie. This individual doesn't want to let go, bro. He's like a pit bull, right? Like, when he's locked. And he doesn't want to let go. So then Soldier Boy, what he does, he's already trained, right? Where he puts his thumb in his eye and starts poking him. Oh, and that's the only way he was able to let go, because like his eye, he didn't want to get his eye poked out, right? So he's over there poking him like, oh, motherfucker, screaming while we over here hitting him, right? And then finally he lets Ducky go, and he takes off running to the room, screaming, oh, he was gonna kill me. While Soldier Boy's over there poking his eye, right? We open up the door trying to get him out, because once he lets go, it's gonna be a wrap. This individual's gonna turn up on us, and he's gonna start beating up on us. Luckily, we ended up getting him out the door, right? We kicked him out, boom, locked the door, and he's over there banging, boom, 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 man, let me in, knocking at the door. Somehow the police got called. They came and they took him, right? They took him to jail for a few days. Like, he was a disorderly conduct and drinking, right? We're all in the house, right? Cops come trying to knock, and we're all on probation, parole, right? So we were over there hiding, like, oh, we don't want to go to jail, right? So we acted like nobody was there. We go on with our day, and little situations like that kept happening as to where, like, we'll get into fights because of Ducky. Like, this individual had a big mouth and then start talking smack to people, and then people would start getting off on him, and he would always get beat up, so we would have to jump in. In my opinion, Soldier Boy, he was a calm individual. I didn't know much of him yet. All I knew was that he had went to YA, and from YA he went to prison. But I did hear that while he was in YA, don't quote me on this because I don't really know the specifics. This is what I heard out in the streets when we were out and about, right? I heard that he dropped out in YA, and while he dropped out in YA, he became a Northern Rider. Now, when he went to prison, he was fresh, he didn't know better, and he had in contact with some individuals. Now, he had a Playboy bunny on him, and he was a rider. There was an individual, I don't know who it was, that went against the grain, and he was a NF top of the list member, right, that they wanted him to get got at. From my understanding and from that information that I received was that was Soldier Boy's cellmate. So somehow, someway, Soldier Boy had in contact with the homies from the general population, and they sent him a message telling him, look, check this out. If you get off on your celly and stab him up, you could come back with us, because you're fresh, you didn't know no better. We'll give you a due process, and you could come back and join the homies. So he took that opportunity. He stabbed up his cellmate like 20, 30 times. Don't quote me on this. I'm not sure if that individual passed away or not, but I know he stabbed him for sure. He did that, went to the hole. While he was in the hole, he pleaded out his case, told the NF, this is what happened. I was young, I didn't know better, but I want to be with the homies. The homies seen it as an opportunity to have a torpedo, to do anything that he's told to do. That's why they put his name Soldier Boy, because he's a soldier. He takes directives and does what he's told. And now, Nuestra Familia, they love that. They love individuals that are hungry. They love individuals that are violent. That's what they look for. So they took that chance, and they said, you know what? We'll give you a chance. You don't have bad paperwork. You were just a kid when you got arrested. You went to YA, and YA doesn't count for us. He didn't even hit the county. He went straight to prison. Those are common factors that took place for him, and he was able to get his get back. But obviously he had cleanup, right? And so I'm pretty sure he did other removals before the ones he got indicted for in Monterey County. And so, because he used to tell us, like, yeah, I removed so-and-so, and I removed this many people, but never got into the specifics, because you don't do that while you're in a gang, due to the fact that, down the line, people will tell on you. That's the little history of what I know of him, as how he was a Northern Rider. And down the line, he had a nemesis, right? And his nemesis was from Fremont, and his name was Beto. He ended up testifying against them because they removed him and they did him dirty, right? And so Beto wanted to get back at him, but he knew he wasn't ever gonna get back at him due to the fact that they were never gonna be in the same yard. So he said, like, you know what? F you, and testified against Chente and Soldier Boy. Right? Soldier Boy got 46 years and Chente got life. Those are just little factors that has been taking place. I'm gonna try to break everything down for you guys, and hopefully, I do a good job in trying to explain everything to you guys. So back to being in the streets, how I know this individual. Going past forward, a few years later, I'm already arrested. He's still out, and he comes in. While I'm already in Monterey County, he comes in. This is when he gets arrested in January 2013 for the kidnapping, gang enhancement, and gun enhancement. He has two co-defendants. They come in. He landed on the same pod that I was in. Ducky was in there too, right? So it was like a reunion back in Monterey County. We used to act a fool in there. Off top, this individual, right, when he came in, he was stressed out. He's a normal human being. He was in the system. He didn't really have that much experience out here. He was only out for about a few months. He found a girl for him, right? And so when he got arrested, he was sick to his stomach. Like, he was stressed out. Like, he didn't eat for a full week, right? Like, he wasn't even kicking, right? He was just stressed out because of his girl. He's like, damn, he already knew deep inside of him, like, this is a wrap. I'm going to go down, you know? Like, he knew he wasn't going to come home for a very, very long time. And so he was just like, damn. And I remember he used to make me sing songs to his old lady, you know? And you know, that this is just some things that we do while we're in Monterey County. You know, there's a lot of individuals that, you know, that could sing. And so, you know, the homies are like, hey, you know, come sing to my girl, you know? And then pull up the homie, like, you start singing over there and shit, you know? And doing certain things like that, right? The first removal that I witnessed from him, I remember we were all chilling, right? And some individual from Santa Rita comes in, and he had bad paperwork. Bad paperwork meaning that he was in there for rape. Once you go in there for rape or any charge that's against policies among us, you're gonna get got at. So I don't even know why that individual went in the first place, right? But he was saying he was innocent. Now, mind you, there's a lot of individuals that do tend to be innocent on some certain crimes. Now, I don't know if he did do this crime or if he didn't do this crime, but when he went in there, he had bad paperwork. Instead of Soldier Boy, he's like, hey man, like, he hits him up and tells him, hey, what's up? You know, like, what are you here for? And so on and so forth. The homie tells him, hey, you know, I'm here for rape, so on. So as soon as the homie said rape, right, Soldier Boy takes off on him. Boom, 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 boom. Him and like another 3-4 homies start taking off on him. And during this time, I'm in the back, right? And so everybody starts rushing that way and try to rush him. By then, the cops are already, you know, coming in and everything. So they take him to the back, and Soldier Boy and everybody stays in the same pot. Soldier Boy knew he was going to do a long time, so he manifested a plan. He manifested an escape plan, right? Now, we were in K4. Now, in K4, there was this big window, right? There's a big-ass window, and in that window, outside of it, there's like 3-4 big metal bars outside of it to prevent people from breaking out. He came up with a plan. The window, he wanted to break it. There was already like a crack on the side of the window. What we used to do, because we used to help him out, we used to carve out that window. Every day we'll carve out the window. He had homies that would come in and out, and like I mentioned, everybody will do anything for him because he was a big homie, right? So they wanted to please him, and then if you please him, you could further your career amongst the gang. His brother was outside, and you know, a few other homies that were outside that knew him, and he called them up and set up this plan in motion, telling them like, hey, you know, break me out, get me out. And he told them the plan. You know, I have a plan right here in Cape. All you gotta do, bring some wire cutters, cut up the fence, come to the back on that Natividad Road, cut up the fence. When you cut up the fence, come in a truck, pull up. When you pull up, make sure that you bring some big ass chain, hook up the metal rods, and pull that motherfucker off. When you pull it off, you know, my job is gonna be to break that window open. I'll have it open by then. So they set this plan in motion. He gives them a certain date. He's calling them, giving them calls. They're talking about it, telling them how to do it, what day to do it. This phone's getting tapped, right? And while he's doing that, he's communicating with Chente in the streets and calls Chente every day, tells him about what's going on, the household business, getting approvals to remove individuals. All this is being monitored, and this is how they gather all this information to make an indictment. I was there with them. I'm speaking as to what took place. All this information that I'm already speaking about, you know, all this more than likely, he already played it out and he already got sentenced for this. So, you know, there's nothing that they could do about it no more because they have everything on the phone records, his own voice talking to the other homies. So he will call Chente, he will call them, and they started gathering up all this information. The day that the plan was set in motion, I was already gone. I got sent out to prison. This is what I heard after the fact, you know, when I went back to Monterey County too, and from other individuals that came up to the pen. The 3 homies that I'm gonna show you right here, you know, one of them, Snake Eyes, which is his brother, then the other one, Danny, and then the other homie, Speedy. I know all 3 of them, right? I did time with them, and I have stories with them too, but I'm gonna stick to Soldier Boy right now. Johnny Boy had in contact with his brother, and he used to tell him, break me out, you know, like, because he knew he was gonna do a long time. They're monitoring this whole conversations, these whole phone calls. Now they're tracking these individuals. So these individuals, they do as they were told by Soldier Boy. They hop in a truck, riding around, all 3 of them, all tweaked out, because they were all on a sick one, right? And they're already driving through. The cops already know to expect them, so they're waiting for them, right? Coming through where they're supposed to go by. And sure enough, the cop gets right behind them, pulls them over. When they pulls them over, The homie tells the snake guys, hey, fire off. Turns around with the SK and starts firing off. They take off. They get arrested. Two of them get arrested. The homie Speedy gets away for a few days. Ended up getting caught down the road. So all three of them got arrested. They got handed down like 30 plus years. They have all this communication and they start looking into way more. And throughout his phone calls that he was incarcerated, they see that he's calling Chente, that he's, a few removals are happening already in the Monterey County Jail. So they start putting all this together. And sure enough, boom, they make an indictment.
Operation Snake Eyes, and they think not only did it result in a lot of arrests, they think it could have prevented a jailbreak.
Leads to the arrests of 45 suspected gang members accused of dealing drugs, guns, and wreaking havoc on the Central Coast. Brought down in the sweep, according to police, were shot callers for the violent Nuestra Familia gang. The investigation started off as a crackdown on drug sales in the Chinatown area of Salinas, but eventually turned into a huge dragnet and possibly prevented a jailbreak. That's where the police chief said these three men were headed. They're accused of shooting at police, and investigators say they were armed with a shotgun and AK-47.
And this is the indictment that happened that I showed you guys. 47 individuals get indicted. A lot of people get pleaded out. And his outcome was that he got 46 years with 8 months. And Chente got life in prison. As to what transpired and what happened for that indictment. While they were fighting that indictment, Soulja Boy was on a sick one. A lot of individuals were getting removed. A lot of homies, they wouldn't even go to K-Pod. They knew that any little thing will get you removed. So a lot of homies were dropping out. They weren't even going to K-Pod, bro. And the ones that were going to K-Pod, if you did anything wrong as far as smoking, talking back, or any infraction, like, sure enough, you were getting removed. I've seen a few removals that I don't want to talk about, but like, I encountered a few removals in Monterey County, and I seen them. And let me tell you guys, like, when you get removed, bro, and the removals that I used to see there, those removals ain't no joke, bro. Let me tell you that. Like, they are no joke. Those removals will have you have nightmares, I witnessed about 5, 6 of them. I went from prison to county, and back to prison again. And during this time is where everything is taking place and happening. You had to be walking on eggshells. You had to be on point. Soulja Boy and Chente, they were on a sick one, bro. They were abusing their authority. They were abusing their power. They were whacking homies left and right. And sure enough, all that caught up to them. Down the line, it caught up to them. And what they served, they got in return. They get sentenced. Chente and Soulja Boy, they get shipped out. They go to prison. While they're in prison, he becomes an NF now. And he's on a power trip. He feel like he's the man, like he's untouchable, right? And he gets into it with the homie. And when he gets into it with the homie, he takes off on them. Boom, 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 boom. North County, right? They go to the hole. They was already doing the process where they were getting questioned. Like, why is all these homies getting removed? Because they sent filters out, right, to the streets and to the prison system, saying this person got removed for this reason. And then a lot of people were complaining. It caught up to them eventually. Soulja Boy and Chente ended up in the same yard, and they were in Corcoran, I believe. Chente had to whack Soulja Boy. This is what I heard, so I'm not 100% sure if it actually occurred like that, right? So while they're in Corcoran State Prison Level 4, the NF tells Chente to remove Soulja Boy. Chente goes and starts whacking Soulja Boy. Pop, pop, pop. This is how grimy the gang could be, right? You're running around, that's your right hand man, and you're doing all this there with one another, and shit hits the fan, and now you turn against each other. And so Chente has to whack Soulja Boy in order to maintain his status, but all along they're playing him because he's no good. So Chente whacks Soulja Boy in the yard, boom, boom, boom. He whacks him, they go to the hole. While they go to the hole, they get snatched up and they get this indictment for other Monterey County removals.
14 members of the Nuestra Familia Salinas Norteño enterprise taken out from Monterey County.
A couple years down the road, right? They get indicted. They go to Alameda County. Now at this time, I'm already on this side, and I come across Soulja Boy, Chente, and the few homies that get indicted. Soulja Boy is in the main line, playing it off like he's still good. He did what he did, his due process, whatever, and he's telling the homies he's an NF. Chente's telling the homies he's an NF, and they start running the county. So eventually it caught up to them. Then sure enough, Soulja Boy gets whacked. They hit him. They hit him again in Alameda County. He goes to the hole, and up to this date, as far as I knew, the last of I knew of him, he's still back there in the hole. He's still acting like he's GP. but he doesn't go to the main line because he knows if he goes to the main line, he's gonna get whacked. Chente is saying he's NF too, and eventually it catches up to him right after Soldier Boy. They get a filter saying that he's no good to remove him. This removal, that how they removed Chente, it was vicious because the homie that removed him, he was my cellmate down the road too. He told me the story as to what happened, you know, like he was still active during the time. This is one of the homies that caught a bank robbery cases. And when he removed Chente, he told me straight up, bro, he said like, man, I didn't even want to do him like that because I knew the OG. And mind you, when he got removed, Chente, he's already old. He's walking with the cane, you know, and like it's an old man already, you know, but it's just he has to go. And when you have to go, you have to go. And like I mentioned before, no matter what age you are, you gotta go. He grabbed him with a tomahawk, right? 4 blades. Went in the cell and he told him, hey, my bad, OG. Grabbed him in a headlock and started slicing him. Boom, 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 boom. Sliced him all over him, bro. On his face, his head. And then the homies came in, started bombing on him. Boom, 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 boom. Bombed on him. They came in, they took him out and put him in the hole. So Chente and Soldier Boy, they're coming out together in the hole, saying that they're a general population group, but they don't go back to the mainline because they know if they go to the mainline, they're gonna get hit. It's just sad how you lose your life to the system. You put in a lot of work for the homies, and then they turn around and they do you like that. It's just a cold game, right? And you gotta obey by all laws, and that's just the way it is. And that was just a brief story as to how I know Soldier Boy and the little things that I know of Soldier Boy. And so he ended up taking out a plea for all these removals that he got indicted for, and he got 30 years. After he serves his 46 years, he has to serve the remaining time of 30 years. I don't wish this upon anybody or anything. I hope he comes home, but the way it seems, I don't think so, right? It is what it is, and I wish him nothing but the best. For all these parties that I've been mentioning, I wish everybody nothing but the best. You know, I hope the best for all you guys. May all you guys have a good journey. And I'm just doing a simple story as to some neighborhood friends that I used to know and the outcome of what happens while you're in a gang. And in my point of view, my perspective, I was blessed enough to have a second chance and not be done like that, right? And not to lose my life to the system, or better yet, to a dirty politics. For all you individuals that want to be in a gang and joining a gang or are still in a gang, you know, just think about the consequences. Think about everything that you're doing because, you know, eventually it's all going to bite you in the ass. You get what you give, and they'll give you that in return. Just be careful, man.